Hello, and welcome to the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We are two aunties and a niece who share our fondness for knitting, the things that we create, and the knitting community that we love. And we do it all with a little twist of both the frivolous and the frugal. I am Frugal Dawn. I am number 4 in our family's birth order of 8.
And I'm Brianna. I'm the niece, and I am the daughter of number 7 in the birth order.
Hello, I am Frugal MsPenny, and I am number 1 in the birth order, regardless of what my brothers say. We are so happy to have you with us today for episode 38.
Wow.
A hearty welcome and hello to our returning viewers. We're so glad you're joining us. And again, we're hoping that you glean a nugget or two from our knitting journey this week. And for those of you who are first-time visitors, it just touches us that you're making time to view. So we hope that you will feel comfortable enough to join in our conversations and our threads on Ravelry and YouTube. But in the meantime, you need to grab your knitting, your favorite note-taking device, and a hearty sense of humor because we're about to launch episode 38. Take it away, Dawn.
Okay, the suspense is killing me. She doesn't tell me ahead of time what she's doing, so I get a little nervous. So Penny, what's around your neck?
Hey, listen, today, Audrey's cardigan is around my neck. This is a knit along with Miss Sweet Brianna. We're doing a knitting aunties knit along. And as you know, as I was commiserating last week, I was slow to cast on. But let me just give you some details about the sweater. It is a pattern by Elizabeth Smith. We are knitting it in Baracco Ultra Wool Chunky. And mine is literally, if you will, on US size 7s. So I am wearing a half knit cardigan today. Miss Brianna's going, what in the world? Mine doesn't look like that. That's exactly right, because I'm not nearly as far along as you are. However, I am pleased to say that it is fitting as I hoped it would. And I am at the point where I am going to add a few more inches so that this cardigan is longer on me. But that's what is literally on my needles today. What about you ladies?
What are you wearing, Miss Brianna? What's around your neck?
I'm wearing All I Want by Hoki Locatelli.
Oh, man.
And this was the first pattern that I'd done with a spine down the middle. And I really like it. I like how it knits up. You can see that spine coming down.
Yes, very pretty, darling.
Nice. But so it's All I Want by Hoki Locatelli. The main color that I used is by the Uncommon Thread, Heavenly Decay, which is probably my favorite yarn to knit with so far. I was knitting 4 skeins and I'm knitting every inch out of them. So, it's 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So I cannot get enough of knitting with it. And then my contrasting color was Juniper Moon Farms Moonshine, and that's 40% baby alpaca, 40% wool, and 20% silk. So you can see that ball band. But I really like this yarn. And it was good enough for the shawl. This is the only project I've used it on. And so I had a little bit left, but not much. So, and I use a US size 8 for that. Yeah, I really like this.
It is beautiful.
Beautiful. And very nice colors on you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. In her pattern, she suggested having a real dark contrasting color. And so I wasn't sure what it would look like, but I kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It really helps differentiate between those 2 lace sections.
Yeah, they're the exact same pattern.
Yeah. I can't believe I have not done that shawl. I may have to with some cashmere silk alpaca.
I don't know about, this is the first time I've knit one of those like perfect triangle shawls. And I don't know if I like the way the shape wears on me because it's longer than it is wide or wider than it is long. I don't know. And so it kind of feels like a bib or like a bandana around my neck or something.
Yeah, and I never know what to do with the tails. So I've seen some people lift up the triangle and then tuck those in underneath
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
And some of them actually just kind of do a little loop-de-loop if it's long enough. I find them hard to wear too. I love knitting them.
Yeah.
But I do find them difficult to wear unless I just don't tend to go with the shawl pins too often. So
Oh,
I am wearing Falling Leaves by Joanne Kiley. This was a finished object for me this week. This was a test knit. The pattern is now available. I just think those Colorwork, or not Colorwork, those short row leaves are just beautiful. It is
Yes.
a crescent shape. It's on the small side for me, 60 inches wide by 18 inches deep. It's on a US 5. Joanne is not going to release the pattern to Ravelry. It is on her website, magpiescottage.net. And you can find it under patterns. And then she also sells, she's an indie dyer now. So this is Kylie sock. It's a fingering weight, and then there were 6 mini skeins in the set. And then I just had Ba yarn left over from a previous pattern. So my ivory color here is Ba yarn in the La Jolla colorway. I had left over from 100 grams. So I didn't use maybe 80 grams of the main color. And then of course, the longer the runs of the leaves, the more of those mini skeins I used. Her yarn, Joanne's yarn, got so soft once I blocked it, and I blocked pretty aggressively. I followed the pattern to a T, which is rare. I think Joanne was putting together kits. I should have checked on that. But again, she has it positioned a few different ways on the pattern. So you can see a couple different ways to wear it. But I love it. Of course, I'm a sucker for a crescent. So thank you, Joanne, for letting me test. Yeah, I love it. So I will take some more pictures of this too and post them and get them to her too. So that's what's around my neck.
Very pretty pattern, Miss Joanne.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, as you all have requested and we have accommodated and obliged, we're going to turn this part of the show over to Miss Brianna because that young lady has some projects to share with us. So Miss Brianna, go ahead and we're going to follow your lead, darling.
okay. Well, the first project I'll show is Odyssey by Joji Locatelli. And this is probably my favorite shawl that I've knit so far. And it was kind of a experiment while I did it.
Oh man.
My goodness, darling. That is just stunning.
Yeah, and the shawl is, the yarn is alpaca from a little knit shop and alpaca farm, maybe 20 miles from my home. They're called Irish Meadows Alpaca Farm. And I went over there and got 3 skeins of alpaca, and it was just barely enough to make the shawl. I ran out, you can see, I ran out of the second color and switched to a color that's close. It's also alpaca, but it has some variation. And then I ran out of the white, so that I started with that same alpaca at the bottom. But yeah, no, I loved knitting with, I love alpaca, so it was fun to knit with. And then when I started with that other yarn, it was really an experiment. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna like it because it's a little bit darker. And I didn't know how it would work with those lace sections, if it would distract from it.
I don't think it distracts at all, darling. I think it adds some beautiful depth. Don't you think so, Dawn?
Yeah. As many of these as I have seen, that is simply stunning, Brianna. I love that color change. So it was an accidental thing, but I think you were onto something for sure.
Yes. Oh, it was just a fun. This is the first time I've made big holes like that in my knitting. And it's funny because when you're making the hole, it doesn't seem like it's going to be very big, but as you like knit the rows, it like stretches, I guess. So I was not convinced in the beginning, but it worked.
Oh, but as you've said before, the pattern didn't change.
Exactly.
I have to check out, that is holes intentionally. I've made a few holes accidentally, but oh, that is beautiful. And I can't remember what size of needle is that. Was it bigger?
8. It's a size 8 needle.
Oh, it was. Okay,
And
cool.
it's actually a free pattern.
Ooh. So
That
$1
is.
on the frugalometer.
Yeah. Yeah, for the pattern. I think for the yarn, maybe, I don't know, a 3 or 4. I'm not as experienced with my frugalometer, but
You go, girl.
Or you could be like someone I know who just ignores the frugalometer.
I think my inexperience comes from very generous little knitting fairy godmothers that like to just drop yarn by my way.
So
have no
Penny,
idea.
could you imagine Penny knitting with the uncommon thread when we were new knitters?
No.
That is amazing yarn, and it's just like, I don't know, Brianna, it's just like butter.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
My
yep.
upgrade was to Encore when I first started knitting.
Me too. It's like, wow.
Ooh. All right,
Okay.
Merlin, anything else off your needles?
Maybe 1 or 2. Oh, this was a knit along that you guys did, the Megan Jane hat.
Look.
And so
You and your colors, girl. You are
Yeah.
so good at that.
this is actually the same baby alpaca that I used in Odyssey. You can see how the color changes so much throughout.
Mm.
Yeah.
It works out in this. I think I like it with the red, but yeah, this was the first time I did color work, and I'm a tight knitter, and so this was a little bit of a challenge for me. I kept looking at it and be like, don't you pucker, because I was just trying to keep everything looking okay. I like it. I like how thick the color work is. It'll be warm. It is, I don't know, I don't think it'll bother me, but it's just interesting because the top feels so thin in contrast. But I think that's probably normal. I love the decrease. It's
Oh,
that
yeah. Yep.
starfish or whatever you want to call it. Yep. Let's see. What was the wool that I used? It was that random. I have a tail. So this is the alpaca, but then the red is shepherd's wool, and it's the
Oh.
strawberry shortcake colorway.
Oh, cute.
I used that on my hooded cowl, and I had just a little bit left, and then now I have even less left. But I was glad to use that up because I like that. It's really soft and warm. So yeah,
Very pretty.
I think you need a pom-pom.
What color pom-pom would you put on that, Anton?
Taupe, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm teasing. It looks great without one. Make sure you show that if you're on virtual knit night tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Miss Brianna, when you're asking Auntie Dawn about pom-poms, you don't ask her about color. You ask her about size.
Oh yeah, I'd say 4-inch, 5-inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, Brianna, and that gradient and that tan is stunning in that pattern.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Yeah, pom-pom maybe. What about a bright red pom-pom?
Ooh,
Would be too
yeah.
much?
You'd have to be the right tone of red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You would.
That was just fun.
So you'd have to just put it on the top because you have to make sure it's not fighting the pattern.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if it's not 7 inches.
I know. I like the way you think. All right, yeah. We'll chat later.
Oh my
I know nothing. I hear nothing. Your mama or your daddy asks, I know nothing.
Why isn't she doing homework? Oh, she's doing
Or whoever has to sign for the package from Czechoslovakia. That's
that's funny.
Well, that's wonderful. So you alluded to something else that might be off your needles.
Well,
And
yeah.
what might that be?
I've been on a little bit of a hat kick. I nanny for these 2 little boys, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they declared to their mama that they wanted to be blue chicks, as in chickens, for Halloween. And so she and I put our heads together and tried to come up with a blue chick outfit for them. So she made blue, like basically out of jersey material, blue pajamas with little blue chickens all over them. And then I made hats. They're white hats, but they're chicken hats. And so we made these little hats for those boys. I have both of them. You would think 2 and 4, their head size would be drastically different, not so. I probably knit 4 hats trying to find the right size for these boys. But aren't those cute? They're even cuter on the boys.
They're adorable.
And so,
Oh, yes. I just think those are too cute.
the hat pattern's called Little Chicken Baby Hat, and it's a paid for pattern off Ravelry, but I didn't really follow it. I looked at it, but I changed it quite a bit, because on the bottom it had, let's see, it's blowing out. It had you do knit one, like a row of knit, a row of purl, a row of knit, and then you just jump into your hat. I didn't like that because I thought it wasn't sturdy enough for the little boys, and so I did a little bit of ribbing. And then, no, but I like the decrease. It's nice and smooth. Dang, white really blows out.
It does. Yep.
Yeah, but still we can see it. It looks lovely, darling. Pretty, perfect colors too.
Yeah, and so the yarn was Patents Beehive Baby Sport from Michaels. And I pulled a rookie move. I bought, it was too, I don't know what you say. It wasn't chunky enough for the kind of hat, because if I just knitted it one strand, this is what it looked like. It was really flimsy.
Oh, yeah.
And so I doubled it for these, and you can tell it's much more durable feeling and has more structure. And so, yep, I had all of my colors. I used up all the white in the process. I felt like it was Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Nope. So I caked them up double just so I wouldn't have to fight with it the whole time. And then
Oh, that's a good idea. You caked it double.
I did.
Good idea.
If you look, it just so.
Yeah.
It is. It's
like
fingering weight, and you probably made it DK.
Yeah, and that's what I needed. Needed DK.
Oh, very good idea. Pretty mustard yellow too.
I liked the colors. Well, there was a limited color selection, so it was fortunate that I liked them. But the red wasn't too bright. It's kind of bright, but it has some like darker tones, and then the yellow is more mustard.
Yeah.
And that neon. So that worked out.
That red and yellow would make a cute Harry Potter Gryffindor hat.
Oh.
If you have any Harry Potter Gryffindor fans.
Oh,
Or I suppose Iowa State University, since you're there.
Well, I have a brother who's gonna go there. So.
There you go. Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, so that's my hat kick. I did the Mary Jane hat, or the Megan Jane hat, and then the chicken hats.
how nice.
Oh, I was gonna say too, these parts, I need to work on I know how to sew, but I need to work on my sewing with yarn, because it's a whole different ball game, especially sewing on knitted. And so I knitted all these add-ons separately and then sewed them on there. And that was interesting to try to anticipate the stretch when the boys wear it and
Yes.
things like that, and try not to distort my stitches.
I would agree with you, Miss Brianna. Whenever I tack on knitted items, for me, it looks unfinished because I'm knitting through a fabric that has gaps and holes, and it's not evenly spaced like a woven fabric, right? So in a woven fabric, you can knit whip stitch, if you will, or whichever stitch you're going to use, and you can kind of hide it around the outline. You can't hide it, I don't think, very well in knitting.
Nope, you can't.
Well, very cute.
Yeah, they're cute. They looked a little scary when I had all the tails sticking out out of the eyes and off the head. And I was like, I don't know if I want the boys to wear these. A little scary, but
I bet they loved that though.
they did. They were the cutest blue chickens you ever did see.
I bet they were. You're so sweet. That was
And
a very kind gift.
And they let you have them back for the podcast. That was very gracious for kids. Yes.
For 2 days. Oh yeah. Well, they don't know.
Oh.
That was a backdoor deal.
Ah. Fun.
Yeah.
Wow, that's 3 projects already off your needles, 4, including the one around your neck. Do you happen to have any other finished projects?
I don't, but that leads into what's on my needles.
Yeah. Perfect
Go
segue.
ahead. Go ahead. I'm just going to look down. You go
You
ahead.
better look up because you have made more progress than I. Because I started over.
Why did you start over, darling?
Because I got to the arms.
Yeah.
Too tight. And so I wanted to go up a size. So this is what I did before. And here's my little arm. And I put it on. See, I haven't had the heart to tear it out yet, but I am going to because I like how it fits in the body more, the bigger size. But yeah, I got all the way to the
ribbing the hem. I cannot believe it, Miss Brianna.
Yeah, and I went to the sleeve and I started the first decrease. And I mean, I think since I've been working out, like my arms are just bigger. And so I got to the arm and went to do the first decrease. And I was like, oh no, there's a lot more decreases to do. And so I looked at it and I just kept knitting the sleeve. I was like, oh, maybe if I just keep knitting, it'll like magically change and I won't have to rip it out. And I was like, okay. How about you just start the other one with the other two skeins that you haven't opened yet and just see what you think. And so I just set it aside and started the next one. And I think I'll like how it fits in the body better. And I think it'll fit me longer because this fits, but it'll fit with the what do you want to call it? The border,
button bands, the ribbing.
Yeah, the button band is what would make it fit. Otherwise it would be too small. So I think I don't want it to be that tight.
I would agree because when I originally measured myself, I tried to account for the 1 to 2 inch of positive ease that she says is in the pattern and the button band. And I actually went up a size too, because you and I both kind of like things that are looser fitting.
Yep.
My goodness, you have knit circles around me, darling. No. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the sizing was interesting because originally I was going to do size 2 and it would have, I thought I would have 3 inches of negative ease, but negative ease?
Positive ease.
But I think I knit tight 1 and 2. I don't know what 2 would be, but I just going up a size is what I needed to do. But I think going up 2 sizes would be too much because that'd be a full 10 inches bigger than my measurement.
So let me ask you a question. Did you happen to knit a gauge swatch?
I did not.
Neither did I.
Okay.
I didn't. And I think most of us, I know better, but of course I was feeling a little bit of shame and humiliation that I hadn't cast on yet. That is merely excuse, not a reason. But typically if you knit that gauge swatch and you compare it to the swatch or the gauge of the pattern, you can tell if you need to go up a needle size. You and I are tight knitters. I almost always have to go up at least 1 needle size to make gauge. So what it'll be fun for you is to measure the gauge on the bodice that you restarted. Compare that with the gauge of your first one. See if your knitting's consistent, number 1, and then see how far off you are for the pattern.
Oh, okay.
I haven't measured mine yet either to see, because typically the best time to measure it is after you have at least steamed it or washed it so that the fiber has an opportunity to plump itself up if it's going to plump up.
Yeah. Okay. Did you go up a needle size? Yours?
No. So I went up a size. So I went up a whole size because I did not have a needle that size. Because someone, much to her dismay, has way too many projects on her needles right now. And so I thought I'm going to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So I went up an entire size, used the needle I have. I am on size 9s right now. I think it calls for a 9, doesn't it, Miss Brianna?
I think it's a 10, and then you use the 9s on the border, right?
Oh, someone may not have read the pattern. No, you're right. I did not use the 10s on the border. I'm knitting with a 10.
Okay, yep, that's what
So I put mine on a 10 because I almost always have to go up. And then I tried it. I didn't try it on until last night. So I had knit all this to see, because I wanted it long enough to see if it was going to drape the way I wanted it to drape.
Yeah.
Now my button bands may have to be 6 inches wide on each side.
Yes.
I mean, as I get closer, I'll know. But yes. So basically, that's what I did to accommodate. That's not the best way. I don't want to teach you this shortcut, but it's a nice way to correct a mistake or to account for your knitting style.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'll just leave it off now because my ball of yarn is in my pocket.
Oh.
So what color is your sweater in? Mine's in stonewashed, but what color is yours? Do you remember the colorway?
Yep, mine's in frost.
Frost.
I like it.
You,
Nice.
yes.
Like gray. I'm wearing a lot of gray and white today. Yeah, frost. And yep, I'm using size 10s. So
Yep.
I keep using these. It's something I learned in lace. I keep using these lifelines. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
They are.
For each of the raglan increase sections, because on the first shawl that I was knitting, I kept getting them wrong, and I would count my stitches. I'd be like, why am I off? I would rip it out like 4 or 5 times. I was like, this is absurd. So then after each section, I just put in one of those because I was like, I am not doing that again if it's right. But it's nice to, I think it helps me visually to know where I'm at too.
Absolutely.
And I think
Great
I would take
idea.
some pictures of the other one before you tear it out. It'll be a good learning thing. So,
Yeah.
and it is nice to see the lifelines. I find that at the worst, you're going to just go back to those. So I love lifelines.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a sweater and a half.
I know. Yes, yes. But you know what? I'm going to behave like an adult and just move beyond that without shame or guilt.
Well, I was consoled in the fact that you would be at a similar point in your sweater that I would be. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be alone.
And you know what, Miss Brianna, we've talked about it before. It's not a race. It was
Right,
just a knit
right.
along you and I are doing together. And for our viewers, we did not have knitting with the aunties last night. So this was a total surprise to me. So just so you know. And like I told Auntie Dawn, I'm knitting much more real estate than you are. So I know I'm not going to be able to finish nearly as quickly as you are.
Yeah.
But I commend you. You've done a marvelous job. And I have a hunch you've probably learned a thing or two on the journeys of this knitting that you've produced for us today. Anything you want to share with us?
I think the biggest thing I learned, and it came to me in the shower yesterday, and it's not very profound, and you would probably guess it if you thought about my projects, but I was in the shower and I was, you know that phrase, I've been told this a lot in my life, and I like that it doesn't apply to knitting. So that phrase, get it done right the first time. And I love that doesn't apply to knitting, because we can do it as many times as we want to, and it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. And so I have learned that with my knitting, especially like with the chicken hats, because it took me like 4 or 5 hats to get the size right. And that's a skill I'll have to learn, how to knit according to the measurements I take. And also the sweater, because, you know, I'm knitting it and I'm knitting it and I'm committed to the idea of this being right. But in reality, I probably will want it to be different. And so being okay with it not being right with the first go around, and then trying something, because it doesn't have to be perfect right away. It's like what you always say about learning being messy, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And thank you for that reminder, Miss Brianna, because truly it doesn't have to be perfect the first time around, or it doesn't have to be right the first time. I don't know about you, Dawn, but I can't even begin to count the number of times I've restarted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I just think that's the process of learning, right? So keep doing it. You'll find your sweet spot, whether that's needle changes, yarn changes, That's profound, Brianna, because I think we live in a world where everybody wants things perfect and they want it pretty instant. And I don't think the brain works that way. I think it's just that combination of doing what you love to start with and finding a path that works for you, because that sweater's a perfect example. I think I know people who would have just knit it to get it done, even though it wasn't going to be the product they wanted at the end.
Yeah.
They just started it, so therefore they're going to finish it. I think we want stuff that we're either going to wear at the end or that we're going to gift.
Yeah.
And that why not do it to whatever works.
Mhm.
And it, we keep saying it's not a race, and I have to remind myself of that. It is not a race. So
true. And yet it seems as though everything that's coming out is tickling my fancy. So it is
I
hard
know.
for me to remember that it's not a race. But can I say that we were in kind of a race and we've won our first place?
Yes, do
We're
tell.
at 1,000 subscribers. That was the happy dance I was picturing in my head, Dawn. We are so tickled. Thank you, everyone. We reached 1,000 subscribers earlier in the week. And you know what that means? It's going to be a triple giveaway. So what we would like you to do between today or between episode 38 and 39 is to jump on Ravelry and answer the following question. From those who answer the question, we will randomly draw 3 winners. We'll get in touch with you after we announce them on episode 39's podcast, and we'll get those mailed out to you. But here is our question. Looking back over your knitting journey, who can you thank for their contributions to your knitting? So as Dawn and I were thinking about this, I know 2 people were instrumental in my knitting, Miss Susie and Miss Holly. They were there when I was learning how. They answered my questions. They taught me how to tink and frog and were real models for me. And I know, Dawn, you've had people along your journey who have been very dear to you, right?
Yep, absolutely. And it's at different times.
Yes.
Who's the one that helped you get started on the journey? Which, for me, Penny, it was you, because you got knitting with Miss Holly's group and just kept encouraging me to do it. And so I jumped into knitting when the faux or the furry, what was that called? That
the faux fur.
Yeah, the faux fur scarves were the rage.
Yes.
So I just think it's interesting. And then because for people aren't always on Ravelry, can they comment down below too here on YouTube?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll just kind of do some random between the two.
Yeah, and actually, I think we'd prefer your comments to be on YouTube.
Okay.
Because I think that way everyone has access.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
do that. Yeah. And during our Knitting with the Aunties this next week, we will choose the random winners for that and announce them during episode 39.
I know, we are so excited. It's funny.
Oh, we are. Miss Brianna, did you want to say anything? Auntie Dawn and I answered that question, but I'm sure along your journey, there have been people who have encouraged you, right? I mean,
I wonder who they are. I'd have to think really, really hard about.
Well, you have a grandma who has been instrumental, though.
Yeah, I think my grandma was the one who got me started on handcrafts because she's a seamstress. That was her profession. And she taught me how to sew from a really young age. I remember being probably 3 or 4 and she was teaching me how to sew buttonholes. But I think knitting has really been you guys, because I remember I don't know, whenever we'd get together for like Christmas or Thanksgiving or 4th of July, Hannah and I would, come up to you guys and be like, can we knit something? You guys would be knitting. And we'd be young because Hannah's a couple years older than me. And you guys would always set us up with some kind of like chunky yarn with big needles. And I knit my first baby blanket at your house, Aunt Penny, for 4th of July. I was probably in middle school or early high school. And then I started truly knitting around my senior year of high school with you, Aunt Dawn, at 4th of July, with those socks that you set up on.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. I made those socks so long. They were like tube socks. They went up to my knee. But yeah, so I feel like, yeah, between my grandma getting me started with handcrafts and you guys just encouraging knitting as an option growing up and being role models for that, seeing your projects and seeing that it's just something that you enjoy has been cool. Yeah.
Cool. And we're confident that each of you out there have a story that's very similar. So please take this opportunity not only to join the thread, but perhaps send that special person a note and thank them for helping you along your fiber journey. Also, we have an announcement. We'll have another YouTube giveaway during episode 42. It'll have a totally different prompt. But after we give away our 1,000 subscriber gifts during episode 39, we're going to have another drawing in the FinishFixorFrogItKAL on Ravelry. I know, all these alliterations. So during episode 40, make sure if you have not posted any of your projects, get those up on the thread. We always do that random draw. And Dawn was telling me this morning, it's been a couple days since I've been on Ravelry, that there are some absolutely beautiful projects that have been posted. So thank you so much for doing that.
And then do you want to share the winner for this week's Finish, Fix, or Frog It?
I absolutely will. So the random winner for this week's Finish, Fix, or FrogItKAL is Sarah's Nana. Congratulations, darling. You put up a picture of a beautiful Harry Potter Colorwork sweater that has received several comments, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It was gorgeous. So I'll tell you what, if you will just message either Dawn or myself, we'll make sure we get your gift in the mail to you eventually.
Sometime in 2020. Yeah.
That's our hope. But please do just message us so that we can get your mailing information and we'll get your gift in the mail to you.
Yeah. Again, that conversation on Ravelry is amazing. You need to go there because somebody posted a finished Stephen West slip extravaganza. It is stunning. And she hasn't even blocked it yet. But when it's blocked, it'll even be more stunning. But yeah, so, oh, and then sweaters. There's some gorgeous sweaters. The hat knit along thread has nice new knit or patterns that I hadn't heard of before. So that continues just to be both of those I really enjoy reading. So yeah, very good.
You know what, Dawn, I just got thinking, I believe I did see that finished slip extravaganza, and I think it's Miss Renee who joins us for our virtual knit night.
Oh,
I think
wow.
she's been with us once or twice already. And that reminds me, I got to tell you, I hope we see you for that November virtual knit night. We'll give you an update on it during episode 39. But in the meantime, if you missed November's, we would like to invite you to our December's virtual knit night. It will be December, let me make sure I have the correct date. Well, wouldn't you know, I didn't put it in here. I believe it's December 12th, the second Saturday of the month. And yeah, if you can check, Dawn, to make sure. I don't know if you have your phone there. It will be from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. And we have 2 hours of marinating in knitting and knitting talk and projects and sharing and encouragement. So we would love to have you join us. The link is always posted in a thread on Ravelry about 1 hour before we start, just to make sure we have time to correct technical difficulties. And we'll also send you that link. If you are not on Ravelry, just email me and I'll get that to you. Was it December 12th, Dawn?
It was December 12th,
Okay.
yes. The
All
second
right.
Saturday of the month. Yep.
Great, great. All right. Do you ladies have anything else to add before I get to what would our dear sister Nikki say?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Okay. Oh, one quick thing. I just thought of it. Would you share the name of the project you're working on right now as we're podcasting?
I'm frogging. I could not do a knit two, purl two. I started this once and here we are again. This is the double thick cuff hat by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits. I started with the Wrigleyville color and I didn't like the busyness of the brim with the variegated. So this is Dragonfly Fibers Traveler. This color is called Wrigleyville and I ordered the blue to go with it. And so this is, gosh, I don't even know if I wrote down the colorway name, but
You
it's a
should get
current
these ready.
it's a current color on their website. And so this will be the brim, this will be the body of the hat, and it gets a 7-inch pom-pom.
Oh my God.
And
Because it's going to Aunt Nikki, and she has promised us she'll wear it at least once.
Good. Oh my goodness.
that'll be the size of her head. So yeah, how about you? What were you working on, Penny? Are you working on your sweater?
Oh, yes, the one that I so poorly planned for. The name of this sweater is A Simple Baby Pullover, and it is by Erica Kempf Broughton. And while on the podcast, I obviously cannot remember to knit the last 4 stitches of every row. So I'm thinking, but it is in this beautiful blue. It's for the little Wesley, who will be here in a week. So I have to finish this cardigan this week. And it is in Cascade Cherub Aran. First time I've ever knit with this. An obvious $sign on the frugalometer, but I have to tell you, it is just soft. And that's what the pattern called for. So that's what I ordered. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that done next week.
It'll be number 5 in the 6 sweet sweaters. It's going to inch someone out. I don't know who yet. What about you, Miss Brianna? What are you working on?
I'm just knitting that sweater.
Oh,
I'm
just knitting it. She just added 4 inches while we were talking.
No, I'm under the bar.
Woo, you are.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm just going. Lots of knits and pearls now. So
Very good.
be mindless knitting.
Yes, very good for the podcast, right? And for virtual knit night.
Right.
All right. We have been long-winded, but we are just so excited to chat with everyone today. But we cannot close the episode out before we give you what Nikki would say. So this is this week's bit of wisdom and, if you will, musing. She said, a handwritten number of a ball of yarn from the bin is much like finding a refurbished golf ball. Both can bring the same results, a finished object or a round of golf. Spend your precious time enjoying what you love to do. And you're so right, sis. It is kind of a treat. It is a treat to have that finished object and to enjoy it. Well, we hate to say goodbye, but we know you're very, very busy people. We are so grateful for your viewership, and we look forward to seeing you again in episode 39 of the Frivolous and Frugal podcast. In the meantime, may your week be a sweet twist of the Frivolous and Frugal. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.